You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
Hey guys, welcome to the Web Report for March the 30th. Today is now Tuesday, and we do have offshore opening lines for opening day. So I wanted to go down the list here real quick and talk about some of these lines and what my lines were. I released my lines 2 days ago, so wanted to kind of get a comparison, number one, to what mine lines were and how they stacked up against what Bet Online gave out offshore tonight. So we're looking for value here, and we're going to explain a couple of things. One, these are money lines, so you're going to hear the term minus, say, 125 or something like that. That means you have to bet 125 to win 100. 125 is the favorite. And one team's going to be the favorite. You're also going to hear a term called implied probability. So when you do a game and you analyze a game, you have a equation that comes out that says one team's going to win, 62% of the time. So what does that mean? Well, you can take 62%, the implied probability, and you can turn that into a money line. And then as you start to look at your rankings of money lines against what the sports book comes out, that's how you can figure out where your value is in whether you trust your number or whether you don't. So these are how I did it. And the first game is the Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees. And this is Hyun-Jin Ryu against Garrett Cole. My line, I have the New York Yankees. They're at home in this game at minus 171, which is an implied probability of 63.15%. The actual line that Bet Online opened the game at was at minus 165. So that's only a 6 basis points variance. That's pretty close to being exactly the same numbers. And in a lot of cases, an offshore account will open these lines early with very small betting limits so that they can see where the public is actually going to bet these numbers. And then they move their lines a little bit closer to once Vegas actually opens up their numbers. So this won't be the end result number, and I don't know. My line suggests that it's going to go up a little bit. But there's really not any value in 171 to 165. But having said that, I posted this number 2 days ago on, I guess now would be March the 28th, and today is March the 30th. So that number is pretty close, pretty accurate. The next game is the Cleveland Indians, and they're playing on the road against the Detroit Tigers. This is Shane Bieber against Matthew Boyd. My line was the Cleveland Indians minus 180. That turns out to be a 64.29% probability. And it was opened by Bet Online at minus 193 for Cleveland. So that's a 13 basis points jump, and that's a little bit different. That's a pretty significant number. That's a number that would catch my eye if I was actually looking to wager just on the variance between my line and the opening line from a bookmaker. Now, in this particular case, my line says minus 180, and the opening is minus 193. So that gives 13 basis points edge to the underdog, which is the Detroit Tigers in this case. Now, that doesn't mean I would go out and just start wagering on the Detroit Tigers. It just means that that's an opportunity where we have a betting edge based on the line from what I created versus what the actual sports book has. Now, my lines are based off of statistical data, numerics, not what a sports book does. So I'm going to look at what I think is the exact number that this game should be and how many times out of 100, so in this case 64.29 times, the Cleveland Indians will beat the Detroit Tigers in this spot. The sports book is going to look at it like, okay, I need to have that kind of information, but then I need to know who's going to bet what. So they're going to try to protect themselves to a certain degree on some of these favorites like this. And they're going to have the line be inflated to a certain degree. And in this case, in my mind, the line is inflated by 13 basis points. So that puts the value on the underdog side with the Detroit Tigers, but that's still not enough value for me to go out and wager on this game without further information that would tend for me to want to bet the Tigers. Now, I've already looked at the starting pitchers and the matchups and other different things here, and that's not going to be a play that I look at, but it is a guide of how you use this information. I do publicize my daily numbers every day. They come out first thing in the morning. You can go to my website. My website is www.mlb-daily.com. I will publish them there. You can get on my mailing list, and it'll come to you via email if you want to do that. I also have a Telegram page where I not only give you this information, but I will give you all my plays that I make for the day. They're free. They're there. You can see what I wager on. And you will also get audio analysis and the breakdown of every single game. So I'm trying to get everybody on board with what we're doing here at MLBdaily.com. Again, my name is Scott Webb, and this is what we do. This is what I do every day, all day. It's all baseball here until football season starts, and then it's kind of both. But at this point, we've gone over 2 games. I'm going to go over games up to 2:30-ish or so, and then we'll kind of call it a night. So the next game is the Baltimore Orioles. They're at the Boston Red Sox. This game starts at 2:10. This is John Means going for Baltimore, and Boston is starting Nathan Eovaldi. My line in this game was the Boston Red Sox minus 171. The implied probability was 63.10, and the actual line is Boston minus 176. So again, my number is not very far away. It's 5 basis points, and that's not worthy of any kind of meriting one way or the other. Those are pretty realistic, fair numbers. This next game is very interesting, though, because this is a tougher one. This is the Minnesota Twins. They're on the road against the Milwaukee Brewers. Game starts at 2:10. This is Kenta Maeda and against Brandon Woodruff. These are 2 great pitchers and 2 pretty good teams that are playoff potential type teams. My line was the Milwaukee Brewers minus 110. The implied probability is 52.29%. So you can see that 52% is almost like a coin flip, to be honest. And that's what my line suggests. Minus 110 is basically, the juice of a football game. And the actual line opened at Minnesota minus 108. So when you see a number like that, Minnesota minus 108, that also means Milwaukee is minus 102. So there is no favorite or underdog in this game. So we want to look at it from a perspective of making sure that we know exactly what we're looking at, because the reality is we need to know who the dog is and who the favorite is. And in this case, it's a coin flip for Bet Online. So when we're looking at it from this perspective, again, my line was Milwaukee minus 110. That means Minnesota would be minus 100. And in this particular case, they have it at Minnesota minus 108 and then Milwaukee minus 102. So that's 8 basis points difference. So again, there's no variance there that is in catching my mind's eye, other than if Minnesota's line went from 108 to 110 to 115. Now we're getting a lot of value on Milwaukee, and that's a side we want to watch for this particular game. The next one is the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Pittsburgh Pirates are facing the Chicago Cubs. Again, this is a 2:20 game. This is Chad Kuhl for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this is against Kyle Hendricks. My line was the Chicago Cubs minus 217. The actual line came, and implied probability is 68%, 68.49. It's a pretty high one, so highest one so far. And the Chicago Cubs actually came out on minus 225 in this game by Bet Online. So again, that's only 8 basis points difference. Again, there's nothing there that suggests that we need to make a play on this game. But I will tell you that I'm pretty pleased at 2 things. One, my numbers are pretty close to what Bet Online came out with. Not that they'll end that way because the betting market changes things. But at the same time, that means the evaluations, the processes that I went through to make sure that I knew what I was talking about with these teams is pretty clear. And then number 2, I'm not that I'm not happy, but I would prefer to see a lot more variance. The variance helps me then look at the sides that I want to risk my money on. And so far, we've gone through 5 games. There's been very little variance. One of them, which was the Detroit Tigers-Cleveland Indians game, didn't make sense to wager on. So as we go forward, we're going to have to play this out and see what happens. But there's still more games to go and see if we can find some more. So I will catch up to you on the next segment.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.